Hi, I'm Matt. I've been asked to say a few words about how I use the origin story as a tool to innovate for the Chancery Lane project. Well, like any good lawyer, I start by understanding the client's objectives. Looking through the lens of the Chancery Lane project, that objective is to help businesses and communities to mitigate climate change and starts with the UK Net Zero policy. As you will well know, that policy is for the entire UK to be net zero of carbon emissions by 2050. To meet those objectives, we will need to balance the climate books. In order to do that, we will have to shift to renewable energy, we'll have to electrify everything, and in particular our transport systems and homes. We will need to extract carbon from the air using technology or nature. We will also need to save energy through better efficiency, a reduction of waste, and new business models. These things will become a way of life for everyone, and our clients are already making this transition. I always have these things in the back of my head before starting an origin story. These solutions are sometimes referred to as the transition to the green economy, and many of our businesses and clients are already driving this agenda. As such, I look at their CSR and sustainability policies and their net zero targets to understand the context. The next step is to take a look at the previous drafting in the playbook. I find this helps set the right mindset and gear. Then think about your practice area or in-house business and think about the transactions you say day in, day out. I then approach from two angles. First, I think about the problems and solutions. Then I think about the transaction lifestyle. First, looking at the problems and solutions. This is where you need to engage and apply your legal expertise, but using a new lens to think about the barriers and problems we will encounter to meet the objectives I set out earlier. We are, after all, a legal solutions business, so how do we meet the objectives and overcome the barriers? I also think of solutions in shades of green. There are light green solutions such as simply flagging climate change as something to be discussed by boards as part of a transaction, all the way up to dark green where you might have a liquidated damage remedy of planting trees. All of these solutions are relevant as ultimately will be applied in the context and form part of a conversation. The second way to generate ideas is to think about the transaction lifecycle. What documents bring the transaction or commercial deal to life and how do they end? The full life to birth journey is important. Then look at how can you introduce climate drafting into each transaction document. So think about deal origination, NDAs, MOUs, heads of terms, letters of intent, RFPs, ITTs, and think about the deal paperwork, SPAs, directors' appointments, side letters, banking documents, IP assignments, employment contracts. Then think about the life cycle of these. How are they varied? How are they terminated? How are they assigned, novated? How is consent given? Obviously, the earlier in the transaction climate change and net zero issues are added and introduced, the more likely it is they will feature in the negotiations and the deal paperwork, which will then in turn help clients hit their net zero or ESG objectives. But the later agreements are equally important to keep things as intended so that climate obligations are not eroded. Equally, variations to agreements can be seen as an opportunity to introduce or extend climate thinking or net zero obligations. Well, those are the ways I try and approach things, but you will find your own way. There is absolutely no better way than getting stuck in and drafting an origin story. This will give you a huge sense of ownership and achievement, and please remember, no idea is a bad idea. Once you have done one origin story, you will see unlimited potential and won't be able to stop thinking about how many other contracts could be changed. I know I can't. I look forward to joining you on your origin story. Thank you.